In the next 11 minutes, you're gonna learn exactly how to read notes using the famous Natil method, which is by far the fastest and easiest way to learn these notes and memorize them forever. It has a success rate of 98% over thousands of students, but it works if and only if you follow all 5 steps, because step number 5 is the one adult beginners consistently get wrong, so don't skip it. All right, let's get started. All right, step 1 is the basic notes. So if you look at sheet music, there are 2 clefs. The treble clef represents all the high notes on the keyboard and is typically played with the right hand. The bass clef represents all of the low notes on the keyboard and is typically played with the left hand. Now, the piano alphabet only has 7 notes: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then they just repeat going up the keyboard. So let's start with our treble clef. You'll notice there are 5 lines and 4 spaces, and each of these represents a note on the piano. So the bottom line represents the note E, and then the next space up is F, and then the next line is G, the next space is A, B, C, D, E, F, up the keyboard. This is pretty easy. It's the exact same order as the alphabet up to the letter G, and then it restarts back with A. Now, to memorize these a lot faster, we use an acronym. So for the lines, we use every good boy does fine. So every E, good, G, boy, B, does, D, fine, F. And for the spaces, you'll notice it simply spells out the word face, F-A-C-E, F-A-C-E. This way, if we see a note here, for example, we can just count up the lines. Every good boy does is the note D. Same thing with spaces. If we see this note, we just count F-A-C-E. Okay, this is the note E. All right, now let's move on to the bass clef. Now, just like the treble clef, it has 5 lines and 4 spaces. But unfortunately, the piano gods want to make things hard for you, so these don't represent the same letters as the treble clef. So in the treble clef, the bottom line is an E. In the bass clef, the bottom line is a G. This is super annoying, and I wish I could go back in time and slap the inventor of sheet music, but hey, it is what it is. But the good part is, just like the treble clef, the notes do go up in order of the alphabet. So after this G, it goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then we start back at A. So of course we have acronyms for the bass clef as well, and then after that we'll talk about exactly what's missing here. For the lines, we have great big dogs fight animals. So G, B, D, F, A, and then for the spaces we have all cows eat grass. So A, C, E, G. So again, if we see this note, we just count up great big dogs fight. Okay, fight is the letter F. And if we see this note, we just see all cows eat grass. Okay, grass is the note G. Now there's a clever shortcut to find notes faster, and I mean way faster than this, and we'll talk about that in step number 4, but it is good to know the fundamentals first. Now let me ask you a question. Let's see if you're smart enough to figure this out logically. Okay, so if we have our note A here, and I keep going up, what do you think these 2 notes would be? Think logically. That's right, if this is A, then these notes are B and C. It just goes up the alphabet. So whenever we have notes above or below the staff, you literally just draw extra lines and extend the notes out in the same order as the alphabet, and you can extend these as far as you want to play every single note on the keyboard. So now we know all of the notes, right? Well, nope, not just yet. Can you figure out what we're missing? Well, we still haven't learned the black notes, as well as a clever trick to read them a lot faster on the page. So the black notes are what us music theory nerds call the accidentals, but luckily these are super easy to know once you know the white notes. So first, a sharp symbol looks like this, and it just tells you, hey dude, move up 1 note. So for example, here's our note G. If we add a sharp symbol, it becomes G sharp. So we just find our G and we move up 1 note, and this is our note G sharp. Now a flat symbol looks like this, and it's the opposite of a sharp. It just tells you move down 1 note. So again, here's our G, and if we add the flat symbol, the note becomes G flat, right? We find our G, move down 1 note, here's our note G flat. Now to remember this easily, you'll notice the sharp symbol has the lines that are slanting slightly upward, telling you to move up a note, and the flat symbol kind of looks like an arrow pointing down, telling you to move down 1 note. And this visual cue will help you read notes a lot faster. All right, so now let's see if you can figure this out. What note is this on the keyboard? Well, it's pretty simple. We simply use our acronym, every good boy. Boy is the note B, but since there's a flat symbol, we go down 1 note, so this is actually the note B flat right here. Then if we see this note, we simply use our acronym FACE, so F-A-C. But since there's a sharp symbol, it tells us to go up one note, so this is the note C sharp right here. And it works exactly the same way with the bass clef. But there still is one big problem we have. All right, see, at this point, you should know the formula to find all the notes on the staff, but you also need to know when to play each note. In other words, the timing, and this is the last fundamental step. Then steps 4 and 5 are gonna kind of be the fun ones. All right, so there are 3 beginner note types. The first one is called a quarter note, and it's 1 beat long. So if we have 4 quarter notes on our note E, we just read from left to right and count 1, 2, 3, 4. Very easy. The second note type is a half note, and this just tells you, hey, hold the note down for 2 beats. So if we have this, and see if you can notice why this is different, we would just play 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you noticed, I held the note down for 2 beats each. Now pay attention here because I'm gonna give you a test after this, but the last note is a whole note, and this one gets 4 beats. So if we have this, we would simply play 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold it down for all 4 beats. So if we look at this visually, 4 quarter notes is the same length as 2 half notes, which is the same length as 1 whole note. All right, time for your test. Here's what I want you to play. Pause the video, quit, and see if you can figure it out. 3, 2, 1. All right, so the correct answer should look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now pause the video and let's see if you can figure this one out. It's a bit more of a challenge. 3, 2, 1. All right, so for this, we simply start on our note G, and it would simply be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so now technically you do know how to read music, but there's still a huge problem that we have to address because the reality is when you're actually learning a song, this method of finding notes is going to be too slow. Right? Imagine for every note, you're sitting there, every good boy does fine. Okay, F, every good boy. It would take forever, especially when songs get more complicated. So there's a shortcut you can use to find 80% of the notes way faster. Honestly, I can't believe more teachers aren't teaching this off the bat, and that's called intervals. Now to explain this, there's a few beginner intervals. The first is called a step. And a step simply means that the notes are right next to each other. In other words, 1 step apart. So for example, let's say we see this. So we have our first note, every good, G. But now this next note is 1 step away. So we just know, oh, it's just the note right next to G, and we just play it. Then the next note is 1 step away from that. So hey, we're kind of just playing up the keyboard. So once we find our note G, we just know it goes like this. We don't have to know each individual note. We're just seeing, hey, it's just moving up the steps. Now the second shortcut is using skips. So skips just means you skip 1 note in between. So if a note goes from a line to the next line, well, guess what? We skip the space in between. So for this pattern, we find our note G, then we skip the space and play here. We skip the space and play here, and skip the space and play here. This is way faster than finding each individual note using the acronym. So if we combine steps and skips, we could play something like this. We would simply find the note G, then we would skip, skip, step, 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 step. And this way you don't have to find each individual note, it's much faster. Now, the third shortcut is a little bit more complicated, so I'm gonna talk about that in the next video because this 5th step is the most important. If you skip this, everything you learned today will be completely meaningless. In fact, it's by far the biggest trap that adult beginners fall into, but it's really easy to fix once you actually know what you're doing. But before the final step, there's gonna be a cheat sheet that covers all the notes we learned today, so they'll be right at your fingertips and you'll have them forever. You can download that up here or in the description. All All right, our final and most important step, and that's learning using levels. Now, reading music is very similar to when you learn to read in school. So when schools teach reading, there are different books for different levels. So in kindergarten, you're reading at level 1, and the books look like this. Then level 5 books look more like this, and level 12 looks more like this. You would never give a kindergartner a level 12 book. They would fail instantly, right? Now, reading music is the same. The biggest reason beginners fail is they don't know where to easily get sheet music specifically at each level. So then they try to jump around to level 5 or 6, and you instantly get frustrated because it's the wrong level and you quit. So you want to start at level 1 and gradually work your way up. Now, I've scoured the internet to find out where to get the best sheet music specifically at each level, and there's one website that is the best by far. It blows everything else out of the water. This video will go into the details of that, as well as how to build a daily sight reading workout plan. And this will cut years off your learning curve if you do it the right way. So click this video now, and I'll see you there.